This episode of Lord Johnlander includes conversation about sexual violence that some listeners may find distressing. Support resources are available from RAINN.org, including a confidential helpline for those in the U.S. That's RAINN.org. Welcome to Lord Johnlander, the Outlander podcast for Lord John fans, where we talk all things Outlander, but especially about Jaime and his Sassenach.
And sometimes we talk about Claire, too.
We can't promise you much, but for the next half hour-ish, we can promise chaos and to make you question whatever life choices led you to listen to us. Before we get into it, this is your one and only warning that show and book spoilers are lurking around every corner.
We're even going to spoil crap that never happened.
Hello, welcome to Lord Johnlander. We are your hosts. I am Mistress Pandora. You can call me Pan, and my co-host is here too.
Hi, it's Beth.
So, we have gotten to Lallybroch. We have actually passed the halfway mark for the season like a while ago, but I feel like we finally hit the turning point at this point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just downhill from here.
It really is. I mean, this is like the last semblance of happiness episode, really, if you think about it.
For this one still, I'll probably have put a content warning at the front of this one too, just depending upon how our conversation goes today.
Exactly.
It's getting depressing.
Oh, I know. We need John. Where's John?
We need John. Get a little glimpse of him next. A little glimpse of him. Glimpse? I can't talk. You know what? It's good. We're good. We're good. Let's once more.
We got this.
We got this. Okay. So episode 112, Lallybroch.
Yes. I have to say, I love the opening scene of this. The scenery is gorgeous, and Claire and Jaime are just fully at ease with each other for the first time. There's no secrets between them. She's chosen him, so there's no there's nothing holding her back, and they're just being kind of adorable, right? Like Jaime asking her about airplanes, and it's just that cute little moment. It's so nice. And then everything goes to hell.
Yeah, in a handbasket directly. It's amazing how their relationship improved when Claire stopped hiding things from him.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, I think she knew that was going to happen. And I think it was just they don't really make books for how to tell your husband you're from the future, So
I guess they kind of have now.
Well, now they have, but
I don't think I would have gone about it this way. Personally, I mean, I would never have made it off the hill. I would have died immediately.
I don't even know. I can't even imagine what I would have done.
Randall would have killed me. I don't run.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, it's true. I would have just been, I don't even know.
Shortest book ever. Damn. Boring ass heroine. That'd be me.
And she was captured by the English. The end.
Tortured for 3 days until she died. Sure. This is fun. I'm really looking forward. You know what? Since we're here and since we are just going where the wind takes us today, let's just point this out. John and Jaime's relationship also improves when they start being honest with each other. Although it improved more if Jaime would just admit that he had feelings for John from, jump.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and I know I always bring this up, but that one letter that John writes to Jaime but never sends to him in The Haunted Soldier, and where he just says you're one of the only people who knows who I am, and I don't have to hide myself. And I think in a way Jaime feels the same way about John, although Jaime hasn't been totally honest with John about who he is in terms of
Mm-hmm.
feelings and stuff like that, because I don't think Jamie's been honest with himself about it. It's
No.
like he knows that John knows there's more to Jamie,
Mm-hmm.
and that's like enough. Does that make sense at all?
I think so. I think so.
Okay.
Yes, that makes sense. There's a connection there, and like John
Yes.
knows things about Jamie that Jamie doesn't know John knows,
Oh
and that
yeah.
part we're not making up.
Mm-hmm.
God, if they could just emote, all right.
Well, John would emote.
He would if he wouldn't feel like he's going to get punched in the face for it. Hey, brought it back. Okay, so this is going to come up several times in this episode. Yes, when Jamie gets triggered, he's a raging dick.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. He
Ta-da!
is just. I don't like Laird Jamie,
I don't like him at all.
and I don't think Claire likes him very much either.
He's a pain in the ass.
He is like, but it kind of reminds me of what we talked about with the reckoning, where he is still trying to understand what it means to be a man.
Yes.
So he kind of floundered with that whole thing with the reckoning, and now he's trying to fulfill this other role, and that is his role by rights. He didn't get to spend any time with his father as an adult.
Right.
Really, I mean, you see him as he sees him as a kid being a laird, and like that's one point of view. But like you really need that time as an adult side by side with him to learn that. So instead of having that, all he's got in his head is this bigger than life dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who
Yeah.
was always, bullshitting with the tenants and being this in Jamie, just it's like hero worship. So he goes in and is like ready to be that hero, and he has no freaking clue of like the practicalities of any of it.
Yeah. Yeah, he's trying to be Brian as he remembers Brian, but he remembers right. Brian in that completely normal but adolescent my dad is Superman kind of mentality. So it's one, he puts way too much freaking pressure on himself.
Oh yeah.
And again, and it's back to trying to be somebody he's not.
Yep. And poor Jenny, it's like
God.
I go back and forth of my feelings about Jenny, because she really can do really awful things to the people she loves. But this episode, Jamie comes flying in with his English wife, and
right, that woman.
Yeah.
Or in this case, that trollop. Sorry.
And it's like, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, your sister's been here doing the freaking work and knowing what it takes to run this place. And you just come in as fucking, laird dumbass and like, and just like, oh, I'm going to take over. And even Claire at like dinner, when Jenny's like, have you ever run a big house? Instead of saying like, I'm sure like under your like tutelage, it would be I could really learn some things. She's like, no, I can figure it out. And I understand she's a little sore because Jenny called her a trollop, but
I mean, so, all right, to be fair and to be clear, I adore Jenny. Whatever like attitude adjustment she ever needs, she comes by completely honestly, just judging by what we know of her freaking brother, right? Like,
yes, yeah.
She comes by honestly. But let's talk about this first scene at the estate when Jamie is, of course, he walks in and he immediately gets triggered. Poor guy. And he starts in on Jenny about wee Jamie before he's asked any questions, before he's had a chance to acknowledge maybe that it's not about him. And again, it's that beating himself up, just absolute guilt about everything that he carries around with him. So it's like he's been beating himself up for what he thinks happened to Jenny after Randall came to Lallybroch while their father was away. So he's been blaming himself for that for years, on top of blaming himself for his father dying. And now he thinks that Jenny is blaming him too. And well, that's just like the straw that breaks the camel's back. And they say some really awful things to each other, but Jenny's 100% in the right on this one.
Oh, I agree. And in this episode, like, she is well within her rights to lay into him. There's some stuff she does later in the series that I think she goes a little too far, but that's for later. But yeah, she's just, he comes in like a freaking hurricane with accusations, and Jenny's like, for all we know, and it seems so, that Jenny doesn't even know that there were these like rumors that,
no idea,
she got pregnant with BJR, right? Like, she's just like, what? And she says at one point, do you think the world here just started when you guys dropped in, or something like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a good line.
And she says that later in the series when Claire comes back, something similar. Like, do you think we were all just frozen in time while you were gone? And she has a really valid point about JB and Claire, because they just like come in like a hurricane everywhere they go. And like,
it's an interesting statement about their personalities, about their characters. Like, yeah, okay, they are actually in this instance, they are actually the protagonists. However, they're not the main character in everybody's life.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, but they think they are a lot of the time.
They think they are. It's like they're in a novel or something.
Yes. Oh, God. We used to say that about this girl that I knew, actually, long before talking about main character energy was like ever a thing.
Mm-hmm.
We used to talk about this girl we knew that she like, we used to say she thought she was on her own reality TV show. So it was like everything she did, it was like there were like cameras following her around, and she was playing to the cameras, and she was the star. I mean, we basically invented that, that whole current slang for like main character energy and stuff. But
heard it here first, folks. You can thank Beth.
Copyright. Trademark. Anyway. But no, that's really true. Like, they definitely, they think they're the main characters wherever they go.
It is an interesting source of conflict from a storytelling perspective to create that I don't know. Sometimes it definitely hinges, like, we get to a point where it just hinges on melodrama. But it is an interesting source of conflict when you have your main characters acting like main characters, and then like some other character in the story is like, you're not actually the only person in the world. Oh, damn, didn't know that.
This is going to get really meta.
It has.
Breaking fourth walls everywhere. Like, this is
I think we invented walls just to break them in the last 5 minutes. So, okay. The episode, let's maybe stick to something resembling an outline. This is not going to happen. I'm not going to apologize. You made a note about the use of color in the flashbacks.
Yeah.
First, notably in the opening scenes, but also as we continue, it's very cool. You meant the muted, but all you really see is the shades of red.
Yeah. And I was actually going to bring this up too, because I was like, at first it's kind of like, because it jolts you into the past, but after a while I was like, I kind of started rethinking my note, because I'm like, this feels like a mid 2000s like photo shoot with like Color Pop or something. But
well, I mean, it's artsy, but there's a trick. So we had talked in in our first episode, I think it was, where we talked about the use of color, how the red coat uniforms aren't exactly historically accurate. They're a slightly different shade of red based on a directorial decision or production decision for the show. And it really stands out. And you really see that at play in these flashback sequences, that we are meant to associate the color red with fear and trauma and terror.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. And it's used really heavily throughout the first season and into the second season too. But you see it once you kind of realize that that's what it's triggering or trying to trigger, like then you see it every time it pops up, you're like, oh,
Well, it kind of primes you for All That's Paid in season 3. More John. When John shows up at Ardsmuir, everything at Ardsmuir is very gray toned, very muted, not like by a trick of editing or the camera or anything. It's just how the set and the costumes and everything are styled, except for the red coat uniforms, which are very bright.
Yep.
So it kind of primes us to think that there's going to be conflict with this particular guy and that he's going to be terrifying and awful. And of course he's not. He's the best character in the entire universe.
He's the greatest person ever. Yes, I said person.
Person. Works for me. My life was ruined when he was invented. I will never.
Exactly.
I'll never be free.
It's like I'm like tied to this show now and these books forever, even though like I constantly come up with like things that that piss me off about them and stuff. But like I can't let go of John. God damn you, John Gray.
We could spend hours just raging about everything up one side and down the other, and then we come back to this silly little man and his silly little boyfriend, and yes, that there we are.
I can't quit you.
I wish I could quit you. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh God. No more crap.
We're not making it through this episode.
So full disclosure, the first thing I said to Pan when I got on this was like, I'm feeling a little manic. Like when we got into our chat, like, and I've got like 3 fic tabs open for like writing different fics from different fandoms. So I'm just the energy, so
it's a little weird.
That's where my headspace is.
Yes, and my brain got put into a wood chipper this week, and I've been sucking down a drink of rum and juice for the last half hour. Good luck, everybody.
Oh boy. Okay. All right. Let's try to right this ship a little bit.
Yeah. Let's see if we can tilt it.
Yeah. So this whole misunderstanding with Jamie thinking that Jenny got pregnant by Blackjack Randall. First of all, that comes from Dougal. Like,
yes,
I think, I don't know if they stress that in the book or in the show, but it's definitely in the book. That's something that Dougal used to like taunt Jamie, to try to make Jamie not want to go back home, that type of thing. But like, it doesn't make it holds no water. Like, you're telling me that nobody else at all in all this time could have like checked on Jenny? Like Myrta couldn't have gone into Lallybroch and checked on them. And Myrta didn't go, well, that would have been... So like when Jamie was in Paris with Ian soldiering, Myrta couldn't go check on Jenny and like find out that she's not pregnant. It just doesn't make sense. Doesn't make any sense.
I've got half a thought, but it's not coming out, so I'm going to let it go. I mean,
I know there's like mass communication isn't,
like, it's not like you could just send an email.
Right. But like nobody ever visits Jenny and Ian. Like,
no,
it doesn't make any sense.
I mean, I guess they're out of the way. I don't know.
They are kind of out of the way.
They're kind of out of the way. Bleh. I will get words out in some semblance of sentences eventually. They're kind of out of the way. And honestly, it could have, if there's even a smidge of Myrta believing what Dougal is saying about Jenny, it would have been very risky to draw additional attention to Lallybroch by going there.
Do you really think anyone would notice Myrta, though? Like, I
Myrta
feel
by
like
himself?
he's just...
No. Like,
Right.
no. Myrta by himself? Absolutely not.
Like, what was he doing while Jamie was off in, fighting in Paris or in France, and then, all that stuff? Like, he had some time.
Keeping his eye on Dougal.
Yeah, that's true too. But I don't know. It just seems a little weird that, it's a pretty big coincidental misunderstanding that probably could have been cleared up 100 different ways, other than Jamie just coming into the homestead and, yelling in Jenny's face.
It could have, but given Dougal's position in Clan Mackenzie and the position that he's in over Jamie now, having to rely on him to hide and for protection and all this kind of stuff. I'm not gonna say good stuff because nothing good came from Dougal, except for Buck. But that we'll get there.
I was gonna say yes, definitely Buck, though. Yeah, it takes a while for Buck to be good.
Ping pong balls. Fucking, where'd my train of thought go? It fell off the cliff. Oh, given Dougal's position over Jamie and in the clan that was, in a way, sheltering Jamie, they didn't have any reason to doubt him it wouldn't have been appropriate to question him. Not that I think Myrta would have cared. So you're still right.
Yeah. Like, I just think it's like, anyway, I just think it's kind of, and like, I understand that Jamie's just like drowning in guilt, but like, you didn't like stop to think even for a second. And then like when they get there, it's clear that the math doesn't math by looking at the age of the kid and the fact that Jenny's pregnant again. Like, but he's just seeing red at that point. He had no plan of like what he was going to say when he got there. Like,
no, he didn't have a plan. He was flying by the seat of his kilt. But then here comes Ian, and we kind of, dear listeners, were sort of talking about this, and we may be on slightly different sides of the fence on this one, but Jamie and Ian was my first gay ship on Outlander. And it wasn't like a big one, like I'm going to go write all the fics, although I have. But yeah, I like Ian. I have my theories. Virgins is one of the best short stories.
I love Virgins so much. I love Virgins.
And once again, we're off track, but I do adore Ian. So we have this really tense meeting in the house for the first time, and Ian asks Claire if she drinks whiskey, and she says, I've been known to have a glass or two at a time. I mean, the rest of that sentence is at a time.
Yeah. I've been known to double fist.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
So Jenny and Jamie kind of are ready to tear each other to pieces.
And then Jamie forces his sister to relive her trauma in front of the entire family and God and everybody.
Yeah, like that's good job, dude. Real good job. And Claire thinks she's helping.
Oh my God.
Claire thinks she's helping and she's not helping. Once again, shut your face, lady.
Yeah, like...
Shut your face.
I kind of almost got the feeling she was trying to like get on Jenny's good side a little, and it backfired like big time.
So badly.
Big time. Like, whoa. Yeah.
They were already in full Fraser like meltdown. Like it was already Chernobyl, right? Like it's not gonna get better. Best to just evacuate.
Exactly. That's basically that advice Ian gives Claire later. Like, look, this is like, two pit bulls. Like, you're not going to just stick your hand in there. Okay. Like
Ian's whole face through all of this is just like, this is so delightfully uncomfortable. Like, he's like, oh, haven't gotten to watch fireworks in a while. Like, this is cool, fun, awesome. This is great. I'll drink about this later. I'll drink about this now.
Oh my God.
Fine.
Bless him. Because, like, you know, he and Claire take completely different approaches to being married to Frasers. You know, because of their different personalities. But, you know,
he's so much more laid back.
He's just like an angel, just like trying to just keep the peace. And, you know, Claire's just like pushing and buttons and got the claws out too and everything. But I don't know.
Ian has figured out that stubbornness is not going to be your weapon of choice against a Fraser.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think Claire ever learns that lesson.
She does not. Nope. Does not at all.
Here's something that I kind of want to talk about, because we get the full story of what happened when Blackjack came to Lallybroch and arrested Jamie. We've heard part of the story about the flogging already, and then we get the rest of the story, right? Like, we get the whole part about with Jamie, and his father shows up, and he has Blackjack ostensibly gives him a choice to either take another 100 lashes or Jamie gives his body to Blackjack. I mean, essentially, that's what he's doing either way, right? Like, he's either, and I don't mean to sound, I'm going to try not to, okay, I'm not going to sound crude, but like, you know, he's one way or the other, he's giving Blackjack his body, right?
Yes.
So, and, you know, Jamie makes a comment like, I don't think the buggering would hurt as much, but, you know, Blackjack is cruel. So, anyway, where was I going with this? Okay, so we hear this whole story. So, for all we know, the first time Blackjack Randall ever laid eyes on Jamie and Jenny is when he came to collect the, like, whatever he was trying to take from them, whatever food or whatever they were trying to collect when Jamie gets arrested. But he seems to like I can't help but wonder if he has some sort of personal grudge against the Frasers for something that we don't know about.
It's entirely possible.
That kind of triggers him to, because he's just like really nasty to Jenny too. I don't know. I guess, you know, I get headcanons. And then I thought, like, did maybe like Brian somehow humiliate Blackjack in some way? And now he's got like a grudge against the whole family. I don't know. It's probably not. It's probably just that he's psychotic. But like, I also just, you know, have to wonder a little bit, because it's just like he's really just relentless with this family.
I mean, he's, yeah, I wouldn't say psychotic, but evil for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I should have said psychopath, not psychotic. But
yeah, I don't know. We need not an actual novel, because dear God, but a reasonable novel length fic that predates canon and fills in all these gaps for Blackjack. And again, I still don't want to feel any sympathy for him. I don't think he deserves a redemption arc, but I just want to watch him fall apart.
Yeah.
I want to watch the monster come out of the egg.
Well, and that's the thing is, and maybe we'll get some answers in this supposed prequel that is supposedly being written. But yeah, there's just so much that's happened in the past, and it's like, it's just not always filled in. So
there's definitely something there.
I just kind of imagined like Brian getting Blackjack Randall in trouble because he found him like doing something sadistic to somebody else or whatever, and it was humiliating for Blackjack.
Or he could just be evil, and this is just who he decided to pick on. And yeah, it's sick. It's just like, it's just sick. Like, it's a sick storyline. It's you know, like,
I do have to give Jenny, applaud her for like laughing at Jack Randall. I'm sure it didn't help matters. Um,
Didn't hurt.
with whatever, but
Didn't seem to hurt.
I just, the way, and just she explains, like, I think like she started laughing at first just because, that laughing is an emotion that can happen, or is a, laughing is something that can happen at inopportune times, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's not like, sometimes if you're scared or sad or whatever, you'll start to laugh. But then she like realized that it was humiliating him. So she just kept doing it.
Yeah.
So
She's got balls of steel.
she's a smart cookie. Yes. Yes.
Tough lady. Oh my God.
She had to be. I mean,
Absolutely.
she was what, 10 when her mother died.
Yeah.
And she just went into the kitchen and started cooking, and took care of her whole family. Talk about oldest daughter syndrome. Like,
Good
whoa.
God.
Oh, she invented it.
No kidding. So something you mentioned, I'm just going to go ahead and go there, but I'm not going to go too deep into too much of it. But you mentioned ostensibly Randall gives Jamie a choice about what's going to happen to him.
Right.
And I'm not going to get into all of the ways that that's not actually a choice and that's not actually consent, because we have a plan for that later. But there's that line, and I wanted to talk about the different ways that I think we are interpreting it. While Jamie is explaining the story to Claire, he says something to the effect of, I didn't think my father would care that much about the buggery.
If you remember, I brought this up with you just in chatting, like maybe a month or so ago, because I thought, does this mean that male sexual assault was far more common we ever think about, in that time? And is he saying that, like, I kind of had this like thought of like, men probably, it's like something that happens, and everybody kind of knows about it, but nobody talks about it. And men are just kind of expected to just get on, like, move on from it. Don't talk about it. Don't tell anybody. Man up, move on. So I kind of like was thinking, is that part of why he thinks that his father wouldn't mind about it, because it's just sort of a fact of life that nobody talks about, that this violence happens sometimes. Yeah. So that's where my thought was going.
So the answer to the question, was it more common, is yes. We don't think about it that much because it was, well, I have theories. One theory that I don't have a whole lot of like academic evidence to support, because I've not gone looking for it, is, just sexism in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And just the horrible way that, we'll get there, but just the horrible way that women are treated in media anyway. So it tends to be more sensationalized. Yes, it was definitely more common than we think. It's more common now than we think. At the time, as a male survivor of sexual assault, that was a crime that you could not report because you would also be punished for it.
Right. Because you were complicit in sodomy.
Yeah.
Basically.
Bringing it back around. So related to that, so I actually had a slightly different interpretation of that line. I've got it in a slightly different context. Without getting too deep into what consent actually is, let's just lay down the foundation that the way we understand consent in 2022 is not the same way that they would have understood consent in the 18th century. We'll just lay that down there. So as far as Jamie, and probably Brian too, was concerned, Jamie had a choice. It was a shitty choice. They would not have denied that it was a shitty choice, but they would have thought of that as a choice. They would have thought of, if Jamie had submitted, is how he worded, I think is how he worded it, to his enemy, that would have been his decision. Because he could just choose to get flogged again. He could just choose to get hanged. Like, these are perfectly perfectly acceptable consequences to not having sex with a monster.
Eh.
So if you keep that perspective on it, if incorrectly, just bear with me. I'll get through this sentence, I promise. Keeping it in that perspective that they probably would have viewed Jamie as having a choice and having consented to Randall's demands. It actually sounded to me that he's thinking his father wouldn't have been upset if Jamie were sleeping with men, as opposed to this is just another thing that, guys just had to live with at the time that nobody talked about,
Right.
It could be either. I could be stretching that just a little bit, but the way it was just kind of the way Jamie goes on to talk about it wouldn't have been the act itself. It would have been giving in to the power play.
Right. Well, yeah, exactly. That's why Jamie ultimately doesn't give in and decides to take the flogging instead. I mean, it's interesting to think about, and again, we only have glimpses of Brian through Jamie's eyes, and like you said, he was like an adolescent really when his dad died. So it's hard to say, and it's hard to think of a man in that time period being okay with that, except in the fact that he also seems like he would love his children no matter what.
Yeah.
So there's that. But I guess, again, maybe the prequel will give us some answers, but I doubt it.
I would I do want a little bit more. Like, I don't know that I want a 500,000 word book about Brian and Ellen, but I wouldn't mind a reasonable, 120,000 word book.
Maybe just a novella.
I think there is probably some interesting stuff there. I would like to see some more perspective, and maybe some baby Jamie.
Well, that's what the thing is like, I'm more interested in their life as a family.
Yeah.
Pre-Outlander than I am about the whole, like, I just don't know if I need another book about the politics and the clan infighting and, the dealings of, basically selling your daughter off in marriage. And like, I don't like that. I don't need right now in my life.
Yeah. Put a face on, like, if you want to, like, make a statement about what was going on at the time, cool, do that, but put a face on it. Like, don't make it such a big sweeping ordeal. We've been there, done that, got the t-shirts.
Many times. Summer tour, winter tour, like, been there. Yeah. And of course, we have no idea what's going to be in this book. So,
yeah.
Who knows? But I have a feeling that it's going to be a lot of this, more of this, like, intrigue and, men deciding women's fates and, blah, 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 blah.
We'll probably be disappointed because John won't be in it.
Definitely not.
I would love wish list. I will sit through it if we can have some sort of a weird layer that brings, like, Gerard and Benedicta into it.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, so I don't know how that would work. I don't care. Make it happen. That's what I want. Yeah, I want some complicated, like, that, because that's, like, the math may not be very good, but, there's what's math. But the layers, like the family trees that are all actually kudzu in this series, we just add a branch. It's fine.
No, I agree. And, like, so many other characters too, like Minnie's father. Like, let's see, like, him and Jared doing some, some dealings in Paris and stuff. And let's find out more about the Fraser side of the family. Like, we get, like, a little bit of glimpse of of them, right? So we know about the old fox, and we know about Jared and the uncle that's the priest, but in the books he's the priest, but in the show he's not. Yeah, let's get a little more of that stuff too, because that's got to be some interesting. I mean, Jared lives in France because he's a Jacobite. Like, let's hear about some of that. That shit's kind of interesting.
Oh yeah.
I just don't necessarily need more like the clans of our lives, If it were going to be, okay, I'm going to go there. If it were going to be a really well-written book about clan politics and clan intrigue, but like really well researched, and like, with actual like history, other than just like maybe like one person that they follow to like,
instead of RPF.
get a story. Yes. Then I would be interested. So I want to make it clear. It's not that I'm not interested in the clans or their politics, or I'm actually fascinated by it. I'm not interested, again, in the version that I'm fairly certain we're going to get. And I went there, so
I feel like we're just going to be disappointed again. It is what it is.
Yeah. Well, that got way off track.
YOLO. How about we get back to obnoxious Laird Jamie?
Laird Dumbass. Can we please call him by his proper title?
His proper title, yes. Laird Dumas. Okay, like, if you look up the word himbo, Jamie's portrait is on the first page. Like, it is what it is. Big of heart, dumb of ass, and that's where we are. And then someone put him in charge.
And it's like, he's actually very intelligent, but he's also a total dumbass.
He's such a stupid smart person. He's so smart.
Especially at this age. But I mean, come on. Like, what 23, 24-year-old man isn't a total dumbass?
His brain's not done cooking. Like,
it's right. It's true.
Not done cooking. He's had head trauma. Like, there's
we always have to keep that in perspective.
There's a TBI in there. There's all kinds of just shit and baggage, and it's just all, his trauma bucket continues to overfloweth. And he does weird shit in this episode. It's
just like, when you hear a parent like chiding a child for like showing off in front of their friends, like this is what that is. Like,
yeah, he needs like,
that. He needs somebody to chide him for it. It's just, but I also kind of love the so when Jamie and Jenny aren't like completely destroying each other with really nasty fighting, I like the dynamic though of them bantering and like, half-assed fighting, because like it's so true that like you once you're with your siblings, you just like completely revert back to like being kids again, and all those dynamics that good, bad, or indifferent are like never going to go away.
It's absolutely so relatable. My little brother and I do the same thing.
Yeah, it's too much. So I do love that.
He's running this whole thing from day one on pure sentimentality.
Mm-hmm.
He has this image in his mind of how things would be. He's just flying high on the rush of being home and the thrill of being the Laird and all of this stuff.
Yeah, he's like a kid that comes home from college for the first break, right?
Yes, and now he thinks, like,
And he's like, I don't have to tell you where I'm going. God.
yeah, he's kind of like I'm going to tell myself, so I have a master's degree in psychology and a bachelor's degree in psychology. And there's nothing more dangerous than a first year psychology major, because we will go home and we all of a sudden think that we're like psychologists and we've taken Psych 101 and we've cried through statistics. And that's what we go home with at the end of the first year. And there's nothing worse than that. And like, we're trying to psychoanalyze everybody. We can't even spell Freud. Like, so it's just like that.
I actually took AP psychology in high school, so I did that a little early. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's like he's built this up in his mind for so long.
Yes.
That he's like, and so he's got the perspective of his father being like bigger than life, when he's doing his lairdly duties. And then, so he's built it up in his head what he's going to do. And not only that, but he is riding the high that Claire just chose him over like hot water,
Right.
And
indoor plumbing and airplanes. That shit went to his head.
He's like, he just lost his virginity a few weeks ago. He's got this hot wife, and he's been playing this probably scenario out in his head for years of what it's going to be like when he finally gets to go home. And yay, it's quarter day too.
Right. Like, he's just having a really great month. Like, it's been some awful things, but it's just been a really good month for him. And like, this is his like hot girl summer. This is his hot girl summer.
He's like, it's all coming up, Jamie.
It's all coming up, Jamie. What an asshole.
He would 100% have his collar popped if he was in the 21st century.
Oh
my God. Oh God.
That image is going to rock me to sleep. Okay.
Yeah, and so I did want to point out that, during the quarter day, one of the tenants, well, a bunch of the tenants give Claire and Jamie gifts, but one of the tenants gives Claire a gift of some flowers, and they're in like a white and blue, like small white and blue vase. So I definitely was like, I see you, little vase. I see you.
Slight symbolism. It's the life she always wanted.
Yes. But it's smaller.
But you know what?
It's like not a big vase.
Start.
It is.
It's a starter vase.
And then, this whole thing with poor little Rabbi McNabb. Oh. And again, the two, I don't know, we need a good nickname for Claire and Jamie. Like, they just, again, the swoopers, right? They swoop in and they're like, we're going to solve this immediately.
Although their solution for everything is adopt the kid.
Well, that majorly becomes a pattern for Jamie.
Such a pattern. Just collecting the bairns. All of these little ducklings, and they all go by Fraser, but none of them are his.
Can I go really off track, and you can just edit this out if it just really,
let it go. Who cares?
I just found out that people ship William and Fanny.
Oh. No, I don't like that.
I'm like, that I just can't, like, they're like, oh, we think that they think that Diana is setting that up. And I'm like, I don't even want to go into the 5,000 different ways that I am never not happening. But I was like, there really is a ship for everybody, isn't there? Wow. And people think we're the weird ones.
And we're the weird ones?
Yeah,
we're the weird ones.
We're the weird ones for, shipping consenting adults.
Just because we, accidentally get a little pissed off and drunk and spiteful and write 5 chapters of Jamie and Hal having weird sex in the woods. That doesn't make us weird. That's
consenting
normal.
Adults.
Consenting adults doing weird shit. Like, it's fine. Like, that's the weird thing. Okay.
Yep. So just remember that when people tell you you're the weird one. There's William and Fanny shippers out there. Anyway.
The question of, are the straights okay? No.
Are you? Guys, blink if you're okay.
Blink twice. Blink twice if you need help.
Does anybody need refuge?
Rabby. Fucking hell. Drunk Jamie is my favorite Jamie.
Oh my God.
Hands down.
He's so cute.
I love drunk Jamie. He's a happy drunk. He's a happy, hilarious drunk.
He's still being Laird Dumbass, but he's being like a cute version of Laird Dumbass.
He's a cute Laird Dumbass. Poor Claire just wants to sleep. But Rabby, I don't know if anyone who hasn't read the Lord John series, if you haven't, I don't really know why you're listening to us, but that's fine. If you haven't, you should, because then you find out what happens to Rabby when he grows up. He moves to London and he marries Nessie.
Yes, he marries a prostitute, which was always Willie's dream, but it hasn't come to pass yet.
There's still time. The night is young. There's still time.
Yes. And I'm not just talking about Jane. Anyway. I can't. It's just gone way off the rails.
What are we doing?
But yeah, no, absolutely. We get to see Rabby again. And that is nice to have that sort of closure on that, because he and Nessie are quite the pair.
They're fantastic, and they're good friends to John.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. They're like his spy buddies / friends, and it's so cute how he goes to visit her in one of the stories. I can't remember, and brings her sweets and is Yeah. Is she in the big books? Does he go to her in the big books for information? I think maybe. In Echo? I can't remember.
I can't remember, and I'm also having this moment of, was this a fic or was this a book? And I legitimately do not know. There was opportunity in Echo.
Yeah,
right? That's the one where because he's in London for a little. He goes to Europe for a little while.
Yeah,
and Dottie slaps the shit out of him.
How dare you?
Are you a virgin?
And she's got a lot of nerve because she's plotting a secret plot too. This fucking family. I am telling you, I just need 17 books of the Grey family. I would just read those for the rest of my life. That's
all I need. I don't feel like that's too much to ask. I need all the different branches of the Greys. Yes. I need more on Benedicta. I need so much more on Benedicta.
Just the chaos that was created when that family came together.
Oh, absolutely. Chaos.
When Gerard met Benedicta, the chaos, and then Hal continuing that by marrying the most chaotic woman on the planet. I don't even know. I love their love. I love Hal and Minnie so much.
It pisses me off so bad how good their love story is. It just makes me so mad that it happened. It couldn't have happened to a bigger asshole.
They probably have one of the best love stories in the whole series.
Oh, they absolutely do.
They're just they're perfect for each other.
They're absolutely amazing. I love it. I much prefer their love story to Jamie and Claire's.
And I love your fic about which, this is timely because of what we just found out in the news. I don't even know if we can air this, but
what are we talking
about? Okay, so ADHD, calm down. So I love your fic where Hal or Minnie says, fuck you, Hal, or whatever, and Hal says, you fuck me, or whatever, and then
the pegging. Okay,
the pegging. Yeah.
Oh, I see what you.
And then I'm like, oh my god, this is apropos to what's going on in the royal family gossip right now. So it just, see, this is my brain, and when connections get made like that, it short circuits for a second. So
that's a fic I keep forgetting. Do you have like that one story that you wrote and you forgot all about? Like,
yeah,
I literally wrote that story in one night and posted it, and I was so drunk. I had a really awful day.
I think when you first posted it, you accidentally like copy pasted into AO3, like it was like the story, and then it was like the whole story again.
I did. I couldn't. I did actually. I had to go in and fix it. Someone told me like, "Hey, you made a boo boo." I'm like, "I bet I did."
And I just remember, I don't know, and I think I stumbled on that story like right after, like somehow I was just like, trolling the tags and on AO3, and it's like, oh wow. That is the best story. We were talking about what our fic rec was going to be because we didn't really have one picked, and we were going to do a different one that you wrote, but I think we just need to make that the fic rec.
Let's just do that one.
It has no relevance to anything that has to do with this episode we are ostensibly discussing, but that's
none whatsoever.
Sticking to it.
And you know what's really hilarious? I can't remember the name of my own story.
I can't remember.
I'm scrolling. Hang on. Okay. I have 99 works on AO3. It's just gonna happen sometime. Where fucking was it?
I love that one so much.
Thank you. Open to interpretation. That's what
there
it is.
You go. There you go. So that's our fic rec, and I'm sticking to it. Just like Minnie stuck it to Hal.
Repeatedly, and he liked it. It's a short. Don't go into that looking for like literature or nuance. It's just smut.
But you know what it is? It is smut, but like your characterization of Hal in that smut is so spot on. Just like the thoughts in his head where he's like, and who cares if I like it? There's not a goddamn person needs to know what goes on in my marriage bed. Like, it's just perfect.
Thank you. I'm glad I gave you a sick little thrill on that one.
I've read it many times. I don't even want to go to see how many times I've read it because it would probably be embarrassing. But because it just tickles me every time.
Surprising 5 bookmarks on that fic. Okay, I'm closing AO3
now. They're all probably mine. Anyway,
oh gosh.
Okay,
well, there we go. Or, what else do we need to wrap up? We're so up. You know what? It's fine. Fic rec happened early. No big deal.
Yep, it's fine. We already talked. So, I think this was your note about Jamie and the Bannock.
Yes. His angry munching, just tearing into it, and then the immediate Uno reverse card. But that's a very key Uno reverse card because it leads us to one of my favorite shots in the series, which is Jamie's ass in the wind as he is going.
Turn around before my cock snaps off.
That whole scene is so good. I love it. It is one of my favorites. It's just a fun thing. I mean, it's a little terrifying because of the redcoats that show up.
Yeah.
But I mean, if Claire's get out of jail free card throughout this season is, oh, it's French or France, and France, blah blah blah, Oxfordshire. The redcoat equivalent is Scotland.
Yeah. What do you expect? It's Scotland.
It's Scotland. Wait.
Okay.
That's the reason. Like, that's a normal reason to find a shirt. Wasn't it like it was underwear in the book? Wasn't it?
I don't remember. They don't wear underwear, do they?
They have them. Like, it's a very optional thing.
I don't remember.
Men had them. They would wear them under like breeches, but not under a kilt.
Yeah, I don't remember what it is in the book. But I would like to go back to the Bannock for just 1 second, because Jamie speaks a little harshly to Mrs. Crook for a moment. Mm-hmm. And we don't know much about Mrs. Crook, but I'm pretty sure she is like Mrs. Fitz level. Like I get like my hackles up. Like, don't you speak harshly to Mrs. Crook. She's an angel.
Well, if for no other reason, then don't treat your help like shit.
Yeah.
And don't trash the people who are making your food, dummy.
Yeah, well, those obvious reasons as well, but also, poor Mrs. Crook.
Poor Mrs. Crook, but also don't be a dick.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to look up whether it was a shirt or if it was, I really think it was like, I'm not going to look it up now, but for next time.
Okay. We'll do a
my book out
correction
before I forgot.
time.
Yeah.
So Jamie and Jenny finally make their peace for a moment. Like, the big elephant in the room is finally cleared. And Claire and Jamie are in the Laird's room, kind of getting ready for bed and stuff. And I found this so interesting of Claire. So she says to Jamie, I'm starting to feel like I could really belong here. And while that's a really nice sentiment and a good way to end this episode, like, what part of anything that's happened over this episode, Claire, makes you feel like you're fitting in? Like,
right?
Right? She hasn't made up with Jenny. She, like, what? I'm kind of like, it feels like a non sequitur, because it doesn't, just because Jamie and Jenny have resolved their thing, but there's ongoing tension with Jenny and Claire, and they've spent 2 whole days there, and like, I don't know. So like the romantic side of me is like, oh, this is such a nice sentiment, but then the very practical side of me is like, what are you talking about, girl?
Like, what the fuck are you talking? It's the vase.
Yeah, there you go.
The vase. Speaking of sentiment.
And the sexy Scott, shirtless, in the bed.
That helps.
Nice comfy bed. That probably helps too. Yeah.
Maybe a little.
Okay. Did we demolish that episode?
We demolished something.
Did we talk about that episode?
I mean, in theory. So, listeners, if you have not actually, if you're for whatever reason listening to this and you don't actually like watch the show, please don't take this one as like a reliable source as to what actually occurred in the episode.
Don't listen to this as a recap.
Right, like go check out Wiki. It's much better. someone devotes an absolute inordinate amount of time to making that Outlander fandom wiki just absolutely impeccable.
Yeah. So use them.
use that source.
We are not here for that.
We are not here.
Our goal is chaos. It's just
mission accomplished, I think.
I know. Job well done tonight. Oh my
Holy
God.
shit, what a week. It is for us, because you guys have no idea. Well, it is Friday for us. It may be Friday for you as well, because this will land on a Friday. But it's been a week.
Record on Fridays, so
you don't. Yeah, no, I don't think I can think of anything else to squeeze into this one. This was fun. Ping pong ball.
So we have like 4 episodes left now, right?
We do.
Of this season. Of the season
of the show.
Yeah. It gets really confusing now that we're not lining up with episode numbers. So it's like, we're on episode.
We're recording episode 14, 13. Are we on 13? That doesn't look right. I think I got the wrong number. I'm so behind on editing too. I don't know where we are. I know. But should we talk about kind of our plan for the rest of the season, or just spring it on them?
Let's spring it on them.
Fun. Okay, I'm up for that.
Because then if we change our minds, nobody's having any expectations.
Nobody knows.
We like to keep expectations low around here.
Very low. But what's fun now is everyone listening to this in a few weeks is going to be going, well, shit, what are they going to do next? And then when we get to the end of the season, they're going to go, well, was this what they were originally thinking about? Or had they, like, it's going to bug them.
All right.
This has been fun.
Should we put this dead horse out to pasture? Or...
Yes. Bang. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Bang, bang, bangity bang.
Okay. That's our last brain cell knocking around.
We're gonna get some sleep and replenish. And well, I don't know if I'm gonna sleep because I've got all this energy in my mind.
I'm gonna go right into editing my story until I can't anymore. That's where I'm going. All right. We're
gonna go.
We're done. We're done here.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. This podcast is not affiliated with Outlander, Sony, Starz, and definitely 100% not with Diana Gabaldon. All opinions expressed are our own, and we may not even believe them ourselves. In fact, nothing in this podcast should be taken seriously as a general rule. We may not even be real people. Does this podcast even exist?
This podcast is not suitable for children, immature adults, homophobes, anyone who takes fandom too seriously, people who don't understand that the characters aren't real, people with sticks up their ass, people who hate fun, and people who have no sense of humor. Do not try any of these hot takes at home. We are professionals.
The FDA has not approved this podcast for human consumption. Side effects may include nausea, vomiting, the urge to send us anonymous homophobic hate, ringing in your ears, and constipation. If you experience any of these side effects, ask your doctor if dying mad about it is right for you.
If you know us in real life, no, you don't.